Words of Sri Aurobindo from the book The Mother, Part 2, Letters on the Mother by Our Lord, Chapter 5, Opening and Surrender to the Mother, page 131, topic, Necessity of Surrender to the Mother. Sri Aurobindo says, there is not much spiritual meaning in keeping open to the Mother if you withhold your surrender. Self-giving or surrender is demanded of those who practice this yoga because without such a progressive surrender of the being, it is quite impossible to get anywhere near the goal. To keep open means to call in her force to work in you. And if you do not surrender to it, it amounts to not allowing the force to work in you at all, or else only on condition that it will work in the way you want and not in its own way, which is the way of the divine truth. A suggestion of this kind is usually made by some adverse power or by some egoistic element of the mind or vital which wants the grace or the force, but only in order to use it for its own purpose and is not willing to live for the divine purpose. It is willing to take from the divine all it can get, but not to give itself to the divine. The soul, the true being, on the contrary, turns towards the divine and is not only willing but eager and happy to surrender. In this yoga, one is supposed to go beyond every mental idealistic culture. Ideas and ideals belong to the mind and are half truths only. The mind, too, is more often than not satisfied with merely having an ideal, with the pleasure of idealizing, while life remains always the same, untransformed or changed only a little and mostly in appearance. The spiritual seeker does not turn aside from the pursuit of realization to mere idealizing. Not to idealize, but to realize the divine truth is always his aim, either beyond or in life also. And in the later case, it is necessary to transform mind and life, which cannot be done without surrender to the action of the divine force, the Mother. To seek after the impersonal is the way of those who want to withdraw from life, but usually they try by their own effort and not by an opening of themselves to a superior power or by the way of surrender. For the impersonal is not something that guides or helps, but something to be attained, and it leaves each man to attain it according to the way and capacity of his nature. On the other hand, by an opening and surrender to the Mother, one can realize the impersonal and every other aspect of truth also. The surrender must necessarily be progressive. No one can make the complete surrender from the beginning, so it is quite natural that when one looks into oneself, one should find its absence. That is no reason why the principle of surrender should not be accepted and carried out steadily from stage to stage, from field to field, applying it successively to all the parts of the nature. It is then a sankalpa of surrender. But the surrender must be to the mother and not to any other force but to the mother herself. Date 4/10/1936. Sri Aurobindo again says, if the psychic manifests, it will not ask you to surrender to it, but to surrender to the mother. The best way to live in the psychic being for that is always surrendered to the mother and can lead the others in the right way. For control, one has to centralize somewhere. Some do it in the mind or above the mind, others do it in the heart and through the heart in the psychic center. Date 11/6/1933. Real and complete submission. This is the next topic. It is necessary, says Sri Aurobindo. It is necessary if you want to progress in your sadhana that you should make the submission and surrender of which you speak sincere, real, and complete. This cannot be as long as you mix up with your desires with your spiritual aspiration. It cannot be as long as you cherish vital attachment to family, child, or anything or anybody else. If you are to do this yoga, you must have only one desire and aspiration to receive the spiritual truth and manifest it in all your thoughts, feelings, actions, and nature. You must not hunger after any relations with anyone. The relations of the sadhak with others must be created for him from within when he has the true consciousness and lives in the light. They will be determined within him by the power and the will of the Divine Mother according to the supramental truth for the divine life and the divine work. They must not be determined by his mind and his vital desires. This is the thing you have to remember. Your psychic being is capable of giving itself to the mother and living and growing in the truth. But your lower vital being has been full of attachments and samskaras and an impure movement of desire, and your external physical mind was not able to shake off its ignorant ideas and habits and open to the truth. That was the reason why you were unable to progress, because you were keeping an element and movements which could not be allowed to remain, for they were the exact opposite of what has to be established in a divine life. Mother can only free you from these things if you really want it, not only in your psychic being, but in your physical mind and all your vital nature. The sign will be that you no longer cherish or insist on your personal notions, attachments, or desires, and that whatever the distance and wherever you may be, you will feel yourself open and the power and the presence of the mother with you and working in you will be contented, quiet, confident, wanting nothing else, awaiting always the mother's will. Put all before the mother in your heart so that her light may work on it for the best. Date 21/4/1935. The life of samsara is in its nature a field of unrest, To go through it in the right way, one has to offer one's life and actions to the divine and pray for the peace of the divine within. When the mind becomes quiet, one can feel the Divine Mother supporting the life and put everything into her hands. Date 16/4/1933.